Hey, photo friends. What's up? Phil here, and I am doing an impromptu live editing session right now. So if you're watching this live, welcome. Thank you for being here. And if you're watching the replay of this, well, hopefully this is going to be beneficial to you, and thank you for being here as well. So I'm going to bring up this photo here and just make sure my settings and everything are good. My mic is good. Make sure the stream is going. But this is the photo that I am going to be showing you how to create, or something like this. This is a day to night edit that I did from a recent trip. We lucked out with this epic room right in the center of the Avila Beach Lighthouse Suites. This is in the central coast of California. And I had this great panoramic view of the hotel pool and the Avila Beach, the bay. It has 3 piers, but you can see 2 on either side. And I thought it was just an epic view. And I decided to take a few photos from basically sunrise all the way to nighttime, knowing ahead of time that I was going to create a day to night edit like this. So I'm going to get to how I did this in just a sec, but I am just going to go into the Facebook group, make sure that we are actually live. It looks like we are live. If you are watching this live, let me know in the comments. You are here. Who are you? Where are you listening from? Is this the microphone that you are hearing? And let me know while I do this, if you have any other questions about what I'm doing here or anything else, photography, video, anything, let me know in the comments, and I will do a little bit of Q&A at the end. My kids it's nap time, so I decided to come out to the studio and try to do a little bit of work. And I wanted to pop in here and say hi. We have a lot of new members in the group this week, especially because Udemy is having a big sale. And so we've been getting a lot of member requests. And so if you're brand new to Photography and Friends, if you're brand new to one of my courses, I just want to say welcome. For me, for all my co-instructors, welcome and thank you for enrolling in our classes. And this is the kind of stuff you get here in the Photography and Friends group. We do monthly live streams here. It's a great place to post your photos. It's a great place to ask questions. We have contests going on, and all of the important stuff you can see at the featured announcements, pinned posts on top of the Facebook group. It looks different on mobile or if you're in the group, but it's just go to those featured. And anyways, I see a couple of people liking the video, so thank you again. If you're here live, let me know in the comments. But I'm gonna get right to the actual tutorial of this. So this is, as I called it, a day to night edit that you can see right here. And this is a combination of 5 different photos. And the first thing you need to do is obviously take those photos. And if you have a tripod, that's great. It's ideal to have like practically the same settings and the same framing for same composition. Not necessary, but it's going to make it come out better. I wasn't using a tripod for this photo, but I was paying attention to most importantly, my aperture, because if you have a difference in depth of field, some photos could be focused on something different. Now, this is a pretty wide sort of photo. Most of everything in this plane of vision is in focus, but I was using a little bit of a deeper depth of field, like an f8, I believe. And so that higher aperture, or that higher f-stop, meaning a smaller aperture, gets more in focus. So that, I think, helped. But as I said, I was handheld, but Photoshop does a really good job at automatically aligning these layers. And I'm going to show you how I do that right now. But the other thing too, before you bring your photos in Photoshop, if you're going to do any editing in terms of like adding saturation, contrast, or any basic edits, you want to do that. It's not necessary, but I would suggest doing that before bringing your photos into Photoshop, where we're blending them together. And you don't want to edit each photo differently. Like, you want the photos to blend together in terms of style. And so if one has like a super contrasty style, the other has like a flat look, that's not going to look that great in when it all is said and done when you're trying to blend them together. So like if you're adding a certain amount of contrast to one photo, you want to add that same amount of contrast to the next photo. So once you edit all your photos, and I don't think I actually edited these photos. I might have added a little bit of contrast and saturation to these photos in Lightroom, and then I save them. And then I'm going to start bringing them into Photoshop. So let's bring up Photoshop so you can see that. So here I am in Photoshop. Let's get rid of this so you can see that. So here's the final edit. I'm going to start from scratch though. And again, I see some people watching live. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this live so that I know there's people here and I'm not talking to an empty void. Okay, so in Photoshop, the first thing you want to do is open the photo in Photoshop. So I have the photos, you're not seeing this on the screen, but I have them in my Finder on a Mac. If you're on a PC, you go to your documents. And what I do is I just right click and say open with Photoshop. You could also in Photoshop just go file, open, and then we can find our photos. So here you can see I have all these photos somewhere. I am disorganized today. Well, you would find them in your folder. I have them up here on my Finder. So I'm just going to right click it. Believe me, trust me, what I'm doing, I'm right clicking and just saying open in Photoshop. So it opens up the photo in Photoshop. This is just one of those photos. Okay. So either up to the file menu, open it. You could also literally just drag and drop it from the Finder into your Photoshop icon that shows up at the bottom in your applications tray down at the bottom. And then the next thing you want to do is actually place the rest of your photos into this project. So what you can do is just select all of those photos in your Finder and drag them onto the top of this photo. And one at a time, it actually places them and you could see them adding here. And if you didn't do that through Finder or your documents, you can go up to File and you can place. Where's place? Place. I forget how to do it from the file menu. Open. I believe it's just place linked. Let me see that. What does that one do? If I place linked, yeah, you can just place a photo in there. This is a different photo that I was using for another tutorial. Okay, so now in Photoshop, I have 6 photos. Someone says, hi, thank you for being here live. Naga Prashati Lanka, thank you so much for being here live with me. Where are you tuning in from? And let me know what camera you are using and what course of mine you are in. All right, so back in Photoshop, the first thing to do is order these in our layer panel. I would say going from top to bottom from morning to night, if that's how you want to edit it. If you want the right side of the frame to be nighttime and the left side to be morning, then go top to bottom, morning to night. If you want it the other way or any sort of mixed up way, then it would look different. But here I can kind of tell that this was later in the day. This, I believe, is going to be my second to last photo. This one I could tell also from the sun's direction. This is also in the afternoon. This one is in the morning. This one now is in the morning, but not the first one. So I'm going to turn this off right here so I can see the other ones. This one is super early in the morning. I think this is the first one the earliest one I took. So I'm going to move that up. So I have my morning, sunrise. This one is early morning. This one's middle of the day. So as I turn these off, you can see the progression of time. This is sort of sunset after sunset, twilighty, and here's nighttime. All right, looking good. So these are all stacked together. The other thing I want to do is unlock this background image, which is the one that I opened up first. Now, a quick trick just to show you, if I select all of these and then I change the opacity to 50, you can see that these are not lined up. I can kind of move these, and it helps if there's one focal point in your image to help sort of be able to line up your layers, like this little tower here. And you could do that manually, but Photoshop has a better way of automating this. So if I select all of these, and if I go up to edit, what you want to be able to do is click auto align layers. Now I can't do that with these layers because these are not rasterized layers. Look up Google for what rasterization is if you're super interested in a detailed definition. But basically what this means is it's locking the pixels of your image. It's not like a smart object anymore, and it helps Photoshop do certain tasks. So I'm going to right click all of these, click rasterize layers. And now what you will see is if I go up to edit, now I can auto align layers, not auto blend layers, but auto align layers. When I click on that, it opens up this box with different options. I would try the auto option first, but if that one doesn't work, you might want to change these other ones. So sometimes, this is good for creating a panoramic or for stacking photos like we're doing here, but sometimes it might bend photos to be able to match them and to align them. Sometimes it's just simply rotating them or resizing them. And depending on what method it's doing to match them, it might look better or worse. And so sometimes I have to go through and try this a few times. I find for doing these day to night photos where we're stacking photos, the auto or the perspective tends to work decently for me, but I'm just going to do auto because that's what worked for these photos. Since these images are very similar in terms of composition, it's pretty simple. If you were on a tripod and it was literally the same exact framing, except for maybe a minute change in the position of the tripod or something like that, it should work perfectly fine. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to do its magic. I'm going to see if anyone has chatted. Naga, you are in Texas. Welcome in the photography masterclass. Awesome. Thank you for being here live. And anyone else watching this replay, thank you for being here. All right, so now as you see in Photoshop, it has sort of created a stack of photos. The canvas, which is this work area, has expanded and changed sort of size. And so you can see if I hide some of these layers that certain ones have sort of been stretched and skewed, but it did a pretty good job. If you're paying attention to this tower in the middle, it's done a pretty good job at aligning everything. The one that I don't know if it's aligning that well is the nighttime one. I can tell if I do this, it's off by a little bit. And so what I might do is, with all of these on now, I'm going to actually bring that nighttime one up to the top. I'm going to drop the opacity just of the night one. And now I can sort of, maybe not to 50, let's go to 75. I can try to reposition it. And you can pay attention to the trees, pay attention to the rotation. It's pretty close. And the thing too is this one, the night photo, I know is going to be on the right side of the image. And so lining it up to this tower might not even be necessary. Maybe what I should be more concerned about is lining it up to the right side of the frame. So like these trees over here, the horizon, and even more importantly, because I'm going to bring this down to the very bottom, I want to line it up to the image that's above it, which is going to be in our day to night edit, the image that's sort of next to it. So now if I put this one on top of just this layer, let's go down to 50%. So now if I go up, you can really tell that's off. You could tell from like, just, you gotta look at details, this exit sign right here, and I could zoom in here, and this can really help me align these two layers. Boom, something like that's pretty dang good. Now, I don't know if there's any rotation issues. Just a little squeeze up or down. Something like that's probably pretty good. And we're going to be blending these photos, so it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. There's some parts where it's not exactly precise, but that part might just get erased later on. So I'm going to put this down at the bottom, and then I'm going to turn all these on. And then the next thing I prefer to do is crop my canvas, because right now I know that I'm not going to have, it's not going to be this entire space because I don't have this space up here from all the photos to sort of blend together. And so I want to actually go in and crop. So go to the crop tool. I can pick a specific aspect ratio if I want. Like 16:9 is probably a good one. That's one of my favorite aspect ratios. Great for like YouTube thumbnails and things like that. And I'm just going to crop it in something like this to my top photo. And you can see now that I should be able to, if I crop it like this, the entire image is going to be filled. And I'm going to click OK. Now, if you want to get super fancy, there are ways to fill in areas of your photo without a photo being there. And that's a different Photoshop technique, but I'm not going to do that here. All right, so we are going to get into this just a sec, but I just, again, want to say thank you to everyone who is here live, and thank you to our new students who have joined our classes. If you're watching the replay of this in the Facebook group or on YouTube, I'm talking about our Photography and Friends Facebook group, where we have a private community for students of our classes. We have almost 90,000 members there. It's insane, and it's a great place to post photos for critiques, get answers to any questions, and learn more and become a better photographer. All right, so let's get in. So now we have our photos stacked in an order. It's cropped, and what we just need to do now is blend it together. All right, so how do we blend in Photoshop? The way I'm going to do it is by creating a layer mask for all of these layers. And I'll go one at a time so it kind of makes sense. And I'm just going to do a rough one right now in this video, but I'll show you the final product too so you can see how detailed it is. So I take my top layer, I'm going to drag it over here into this button right here. And you'll see what happens is it creates a layer mask, which allows us to brush on or off certain parts of the image. I have a full Photoshop course if you're interested, and that we cover layer masks in detail there. And so now we have these two buttons right here, and if I select this white one, this box, what white represents is where we can see this image. It's the opacity basically of this image. It's perfectly opaque. But if I erase it with my brush, so I press B on my keyboard, or you can select brush. And if I have a black brush, which the color that we choose for our brush, we click here. And if we choose black, and say I make it a lot bigger, I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut on a Mac, Control Option, and then click and drag to the left or right. I can make it bigger or smaller, and then up or down I can make it harder or softer edged brush. So I actually haven't brushed anything on, but now if I brush onto the image, make sure that I have this layer selected, make sure I have this white box checked, I'm actually sort of painting on black. And actually let me make sure my flow is all the way at 100%. So now if I paint this on, you can pay attention to what's happening in this box and then also what's happening to the image. I'm actually erasing that part of that very first image. So the only parts of the first image we see are over on this right side, okay? And you can see from the palm trees, when I did that the fronds kind of move around. And so you have to pay attention to those things if you're blending two parts of an image, because you want like probably those palm fronds to be in one spot, so to be from only one image. So now I only have this bottom corner right here from this top image. And the creative part of this is deciding which parts of the image you want to keep. But for now, that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to just take this next image and do the same. So select the image, drag it down here. I still have that same brush. It's selected here. And I'm just going to go over to the right a little bit more and start and erase all the right side of this image. You see some issues over here on the right. We'll see if we have to deal with this. We might not, though. We might be erasing that. So here, this is good. Now, I can see if I zoom in here that there's this part of this image with this guy walking through that's on this layer that I think is interesting. So I want to make sure that we can see that part of the image. So hit B on my keyboard to get my brush. Make sure I brush that part out. So this is from the middle of the day. We got a couple people at the pool, kind of cool. Here we have some issues with the alignment of the swing set. So here, if we want to add something back into our image, we can swap the colors from black to white by clicking this button here with our brush. And again, I'm holding Control Option and clicking and dragging left or right to increase or decrease the size of that. Now with the white brush, I'm going to paint back on here. And I can really tell those layers weren't exactly aligned. So if you want to be a perfectionist about it, you might go in here and tweak the position of the line. Sometimes, and there's a point here where there was like an extra umbrella that got put up. And so I'm just going in, I'm brushing on, brushing off parts of this image to try to get it to blend better. All right, so again, you can be like super perfectionistic about it, which is good if you want to like print these out, or you know, a little quick job's not too bad. So I'm going to take a brush up here, this palm frond, make sure that I see this whole palm frond. Oops, that's making it disappear. Undo that. A quick way to swap this black and white is press X on your keyboard. Okay. And so now we have our first image, just that bottom corner. Our second one is just a little bit of this, the pier, this umbrella. And then you just go through and do the same thing. So I think at this point you kind of get the process. It's just sort of going through and deciding which parts of the image you want to use and which you don't. Now, this photo down here that I'm erasing this third layer, but the one below, I don't think I used it in my final edit. It was like a weird time of day. The sky wasn't blue. I could go in Lightroom and try to make that sky a little bit bluer so it blends better, but I don't like how this sky goes from blue to like this white because there's no color in the sky. So I'm actually just going to delete that layer, okay? And we're just going to go straight from like midday to sort of twilight. And so again, with this layer, just going to erase that part right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this last one. Whoops, make sure you're selecting that layer before you drag it. Whoops, let's see, why am I not seeing my black lower layer is at 50%. So I'm going to turn that to 100 so I can see it. And that's pretty good. Now I see that I have a little crop issue up in the top right corner. I don't have any information there. So the easiest way to fix that is just to crop in just a little bit. And I don't mind cropping in because it sort of centers this tower even more. Although I don't like how these palm trees aren't exactly centered. I'm going to just crop in a little bit more on both sides, actually. Try to get a more symmetrical image. Return on your keyboard to lock in that crop. Now you can see that this transition from this second to last photo to the last nighttime photo is pretty abrupt. So one way to smooth out and blend that transition a little bit more is to actually turn down the flow of our brush, which is basically like watering down the amount of brush you're using. So now if I sort of brush on, it doesn't completely remove that layer. It does it in strokes. And so if let's put this back on just a little bit like this. I'm going to take my black brush to erase some more. And I'm also going to make my brush super big so that the sort of feathering is more dramatic. And something like that, I think the transition looks a little bit better. And I had to do that with a couple parts of this image so that the sky sort of blended together better in my final edit. And that's pretty much what you do to create these day to night edits. And then, of course, you can save it. You can go up to File, Export as, and then you just choose your size. If you want a PNG, or probably a JPEG is perfectly fine for a photo. And I hear a cat screaming outside. I thought it was one of my kids. And probably reduce the size depending on where, if you're printing it, probably full size is good. If you're putting it online, you probably don't need it to be this big. And that is how, my friends, you put together a day to night edit in Photoshop. Now let me go to my final edit. So you can see from these layer masks that I'll just show you what I did. It was pretty similar to what I did in this tutorial. Very similar. I was a little bit more precise with some of these edits, but overall, actually, it looks pretty good. I also added an overall curves and vibrance adjustment. I don't even think the vibrance is really doing anything, actually. But the curves adds a little bit of contrast. And the way I did that is if you just click this button down here, do curves, and now that is sort of an adjustment layer for the entire image that you can see that adjusting, just to add a little bit more contrast to the whole image at once. All right, that is a day to night edit. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you have tried a day to night edit. If you're curious now to try a day to night edit, maybe we should have a day to night photo contest in the group. I think that'd be pretty cool. We were talking about, my co-instructors Sam and Will and I were talking about doing an editing challenge. I think we've done one of those in the past, basically where we give out a photo and then everyone submits their edit of it, and we see the different ways that people edited their photos. Because in our Photography and Friends Plus community, one of our students in there asked us to edit their photo. Let me see if I can bring it up here on the screen. And then Will, Sam, and I edited it all together, and we each had our own edit. And it was kind of cool just to see the different versions that we came up with. And so, speaking of Photography and Friends Plus, I don't mean to just spam about that, but this is our private community that is sort of Photography and Friends to the next level. That's why it's called Plus. But we just started it this month, and we've got a great group of students in there where we're doing weekly live sessions. It's a very much more organized place to learn photography. There's different spaces for asking questions about starting a photography business, about any tech related questions, specific spots for posting for photo critiques, asking questions, all of that kind of stuff. And it's really one of the most exciting parts of my week now. Will, Sam, and I get to chat and hang out. And it's a little bit different than the live streams we do here in the Photography and Friends group, because it's held on Zoom. And so all of the photographers in that community are together in one place at one time. We all can see each other. We can all chat, and you can get up there, talk about your issues you're having, and we can all help you. And so the link to that, I'll post it in the comments after I'm done with this video, but it's just, if you go to photographyandfriends.com/plus, you can join. And we have a discount going through the end of May for founding members. So if you're one of our first handful of people that join into Photography and Friends Plus, this month, you get to be a founding member, which means you get a cool badge on your profile. You get this Photography and Friends Plus hat, and you also get a $100 discount on the membership for every year that you're a member, which is super cool. And that membership comes with access to all of our courses. So, as mentioned that one of the students watching was in one class, the Photography Masterclass. Well, we have dozens of photography classes. We have video classes, graphic design, business, all kinds of other classes. And it's you get it all for free as a Photography and Friends Plus member. So if you have any questions related to photography or what I was just doing, post them in the comments right now. I don't see many people live right now, so I'm just going to hang out for another minute before I close it out. But if you have questions about this or anything else related to photography, let me know and I'll answer. I'm going to try to bring up the photo editing challenge that I did with Will, Sam, and myself. It's hard to see. I got the photos, but well, that's one of the benefits of Photography and Friends Plus. You could get to see these things. Oh, actually, let me bring it up on Plus. You guys can see how it's laid out, and I'll show you that photo. It is right here under photo critiques. Okay, I'm going to bring this up so that you guys can see what Photography and Friends Plus looks like. Boom, right there. Okay, so here's the inside of Photography and Friends Plus. And as you can see, we have it laid out with a number of spaces. So there's places to introduce yourself, ask questions, talk about gear, business. We have our own photo contests here in Plus, a gallery where you can show off your best work, live sessions. As we mentioned, you get live sessions every week with Will, Sam, and myself. It's a freaking incredible deal. It's like office hours. We do hot seats where you come on and show your work, ask questions. We have specific training. So like in a couple weeks, Will's going to be doing a deep dive into wedding photography. So if you're interested in that, doing contests, all kinds of stuff like that. And you get all of the replays. So if you miss it, you get to watch all of our replays. Like we've had 2 already, and it's just super awesome. So that photo critique, I think I put in photo critique. So here's the edit that we did. So this was a photo that one of our students took, and just 3 different edits. This was Will's, this was mine, and this was Sam's. Sort of a cool silhouette in this canyon. This is from a student, Gianluca. Shout out to Gianluca. So yeah, just doing lots of fun stuff in here. We get back to you within a day or 2 for your photo critiques. If you have questions, it's you can direct message us here. It's a pretty awesome community. I mean, this is our first month, so I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to go, but it's definitely, like I said, one of my highlights. So if you just go to photographyandfriends.com, if you click on Plus Community, or if you just go to photographyandfriendsplus.com/plus, here's where you can find out more information and join. Join right now. And we've got a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if you want to try it out, there's no risk. You could try it out for a month or 2. If you got enough out of it during that first month or 2, if you took all the classes and you say, oh, I'm done, then you could stop whenever you want. Or if you join now and try it out for a couple days and it's not for you, just get a refund. No problem. No risk. It's really, we want to just help more photographers along their journey. A lot of the people who are in Plus right now are people who want to start making money with photography. They are like, either they've done like 1 or 2 paid gigs, or they haven't done any, and they're just trying to get their website up, their portfolio, set their prices, figure out how to host photos for clients, client access, all that kind of stuff. Or people, I mean, there's people in there just brand new and trying to figure out the settings on their camera, how to use their gear, all that kind of stuff. So it's a good little range. It's super small right now, and so if you join now, it's literally like private coaching with 3 instructors. It's awesome. And it's only $49 a month for 4 live sessions, all of our classes, all of this stuff. Or if you want to do the year, it's $490. But right now, if you do it join by the end of May, it's $100 off. So $390. And we're never going to do that discount again. That's our founding member discount. I promise, never, ever, ever going to do a discount for this. It's never going to be less than $490 for the year or $49 a month. It's the only time we will ever do a discount for Photography and Friends Plus. Promise, pinky promise. I solemnly swear. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me live. Anybody that was watching, if you see the replay, thank you so much for watching. If there's anything we can do to make the Facebook group better for you, if we can make our classes better for you, let us know. We are here to serve you and to help you become a better photographer. All right, much love. Check out my YouTube channel. I posted a video yesterday. I thought it came out pretty good. A little vloggy, introspective video. And that's somewhere here in the group, or just look up Phil Ebner on YouTube and you can get to my channel. Maybe I'll post it in the comments below. All right. Peace out. Much love. See ya.